Hey y'all, Alexa here, and welcome back to Murder in the Mountains. Our co-host is Megan this week.
Hello.
So let's jump right in. This week's case takes place in Nanaimo, British Columbia. Lisa Marie Young was born on May 5th, 1981 in Nanaimo to Don and Joanne Young, who later had two more children, Brian and Robbie. Lisa was adored by her parents and her grandmother, Cecilia. Lisa was a happy and determined baby who began crawling at 5 months and walking at only 7 months, which is insane.
Okay, I was going to ask, as you now have child, what is the normal age? Because that definitely sounds young, but I don't know.
I think the average is like 9 to 15 months. And Beckett just started walking at 13 months. So 7 is insanely early.
Smart kid.
When her younger brothers came, she was the typical, very protective, maybe slightly bossy big sister. Being the girly girl she was, she would play dress up with her younger brothers, maybe against their will. But that was something that continued into adulthood. Lisa would dress up for everything, whether it be a coffee date or a night out. Lisa could be described as independent, bubbly, and outgoing. She was stubborn and knew exactly what she wanted.
She sounds like me.
Sounds just like Maggie. So at 21, Lisa had big plans to move into her own apartment and then a few days later began a new job at a call center. She had bartended in the past, worked at McDonald's, and she was excited about this new change. And she was also planning to go to college to be a TV sports broadcaster. On moving weekend, Lisa and some friends decided to go to a nightclub called Jungle Cabaret to celebrate Canada Day and the birthday of her good friend Dallas Hulley. They previously dated but remained friends after the breakup. Also like Maggie and one of your exes.
Quit telling my business.
So she left her parents' house at 11 p.m. on June 29th, 2002 to head to the club. Knowing she had a busy morning of moving, her father said, "Isn't it a little late?" And her father always worried about Lisa going out late, whether it be her dangerously high heels or worrying that one of her friends will actually be too drunk to drive while she's in the car. But he was just your typical caring father, constantly worrying. And this actually reminds me of when I was moving. It was the day after my birthday years ago. And Ryan, before we were even dating, went out with us the night before, and we had like a super early day of moving, and it was terrible. Bad idea. Do not advise anybody to go out and then get back at like 3 a.m. and then have to get up early and move into your new apartment.
It's a very bad idea, but that's what happens when you're young. You party and then you get up.
Exactly. Could not do that now at all. So just weeks before, Lisa assured him that she was always with friends when she went out. She was not going out alone. She knew safety in numbers, basically. And on this particular night, she was out with her friends. When the club closed at 2:30 in the morning, Lisa and her friends made their way to the parking lot to decide what their next move was for the night. They discussed going to a house party, but they didn't have a ride. This next part I found conflicting reports of in my research. One version goes that they asked a man that they had met in the club named Chris Adair for a ride to the party and invited him to come with them. And another version I found said that Chris offered them a ride to the party. So whether he overheard it or what. Either way, Lisa and her friends got into Chris Adair's burgundy Jaguar and they went to a house party near Cather's Lake. Megan's making a face.
And I love how we're talking about coming home at 3 and they're like, club's closed. Where's the next spot? Which definitely used to be me as well. You got to go to the house party after the club, which it sucks because this is a totally normal thing to do. But obviously we're here on this podcast, so something goes wrong.
Yeah, like we've literally all been there in our 20s. Like the night's just getting started, which again is literally insane. I'm only 30, but I just literally cannot even comprehend doing this nowadays.
Stop bragging about your age.
You are not that much older than I am. You and Ryan are the same age.
Or it's a lot. And I definitely can't do anything now. I was just in Tennessee and me and my sister were like, you want to go out? And then I said, do you want to drink inside instead? And she was like, yeah.
Like at the house, inside.
Yeah. And that's what we did.
Yeah, it just sounds so much better as you get older. So her friends were having a barbecue, random at 3 a.m., but it's Canada Day. So Lisa was a vegetarian, like literally since she was a child. And Peyton has literally tried to be a vegetarian twice. And it's lasted like a couple hours at a time until we caught her eating a bologna sandwich. We're like, Peyton, I thought you wanted to be a vegetarian.
I thought you were going to a couple of days at a time. You said a couple of hours.
Hours, literal hours. And she loves steak. She loves meat, but she feels bad about the animals. But anyway, so like they said, she was super stubborn, knew what she wanted. So she is a vegetarian and she stuck to it her entire life. So being a vegetarian at a barbecue is obviously troublesome. And she was hungry. So since she couldn't eat anything there, Chris Adair offered to take Lisa to a Subway restaurant to get some food. They got in his red Jaguar at 4 a.m. and left the party.
Dang it. This is not good. I knew it was going to be this Chris Adair guy. Right when you said she was vegetarian and you were going on, I'm like, oh God, this is when she's going to split off from her friends, and you never split off from your friends.
So 30 minutes later, Lisa called Dallas. Remember, that's her ex and good friends that she was out with that night. When she called him, she said that instead of taking her to Subway, he took her to another party. According to Dallas, Lisa said, I don't know what's going on. This guy won't bring me back. We're sitting in a driveway on Bowen Road and he won't bring me back. I'm bored and getting pissed off. So unfortunately, we don't know what Dallas said on that call because I couldn't find that it was reported on. But shortly after, she followed up with a text to Dallas. It said, come get me. They won't let me leave.
Oh my God. That's scary. It's always tragic when there was communication, and if only he could have come get her. I'm sure something intercepts that, or maybe she wasn't able to give the final address. And yeah, I definitely would call my ex to come get me.
So Dallas told her that he and everyone else at the party was too drunk to drive and told her to take a cab home. This was the last time that Lisa was heard from.
Oh no, that's even more tragic because it's like, obviously he was being responsible, but you're going to think about that forever.
Yeah, she did everything right, went out with friends that night. When you're that age, you meet people out, you think they're friends, you go to a new location with them. It's cool. You're not getting any weird vibes, enough to, go with them with somewhere else. And, she was a safe girl and she felt uncomfortable. She was texting Dallas and yeah. And like you said, Dallas was doing the responsible thing. Like, unfortunately, none of us can come get you. So just take a cab. We'll see you in a little bit,
Yeah, unfortunately, the whole second location, I wish she had taken a friend with her, or just let one of her friends that she had come with that night take her to get vegetarian food. But yeah, I've met people same night. We're all become friends. We're like, we're going to be best friends now. And I'm calling Imani out on this podcast. I'll have to tell her to listen. But we've definitely we've got in the car. We took 2 guys. We all went to get Waffle House, and it was fine. So, yeah, you never know. Glad we're alive.
As am I. So, Lisa's father, Don, spent the morning of June 30th calling Lisa's phone. Remember, he was supposed to help her move into her new apartment. It wasn't like her not to answer the phone, but he thought maybe she was busy finishing packing or doing other things related to the move. However, later that afternoon, he got a call from Lisa's former roommate, the one whose apartment she was moving out of, asking if they had seen her because she hadn't moved anything out. So that's when worry set in. Lisa's mother, Joanne, immediately went to Lisa's apartment and found her black book with all her friends' numbers in it. She called every person in the book, but everyone who had seen her said they hadn't seen her since the night before. So with no luck with her friends, Joanne and Dawn call the police. As we've heard many times before, they were told that she's an adult, it's not been that long, and to wait 48 hours. 2 days before getting official help.
And I will say this one is really hard because she is 21. Which is older than most of the cases where they're like, oh, we need to wait. And it's like, teen is kind of young, you know. She didn't run away, that whole type of thing. But 21 is kind of tough. A night of partying. There's so many times where I thought, like you said, it's not a good idea to get up and move. So there's so many times I've gone out and I'm like, I'm going to be home. And I end up crashing at someone's place. And I don't wake up because I partied all night. So this one is tough. But 48 hours is just, it should at least be 24.
So as most parents would do, they were like, if y'all aren't going to help, we'll do it ourselves. Joanne and Dawn called family members and Lisa's friends, and they drove and walked and searched the coast. Unfortunately, they turned up empty-handed. That evening, a police officer ended up coming to their home to take a report. He asked a couple questions, took a photo of Lisa for his file, and then told him or them that he was off for 4 days, so to reach out to him then. So this was on a Sunday, and he told them to contact him 4 days later on Friday. Can you imagine initially being told that you had to wait 48 hours, and then a cop comes to your house and you're like, hallelujah, this is great, only to be told to hit him back up when he's back on duty 4 days later? Like, it's unbelievable.
I'm confused. Where did you say this was again?
British Columbia.
Oh. Because the only thing I'm thinking, is it a small, like, are you the only one, bro? Or can we contact someone else? Because, yeah, I was like, how do we get to 48 hours to 4 days? But I wouldn't even do that. I would call someone else. But I'm like, is he the only?
Surely not. Like, I'm sure you have a partner. I'm sure there's other people on the force. This isn't like a one light town where, like, Mayberry on the Andy Griffith show. No, there's more people. It's just absolutely insane. So, considering they weren't getting the support they needed from local law enforcement, the Youngs decided to reach out to the media for help. A reporter came over right away, and by morning, Lisa's story was all over the news. Shortly after, the Youngs were told that the RCMP's Serious Crime Unit was handling the case. It was at that moment they knew how bad the situation was. Not bad enough, though, apparently, because police conducted their first land search for Lisa 2 months after her disappearance. She went missing at the end of June, and they did not do their first search until September.
It's not only that she was 21, it's that she was 21 and they did know for a fact she had been out with friends. I feel like they were just judging the situation and being like, oh, she's 21, she'll show up. But 2 months is literally wild. That's crazy.
So to add another layer to it, initially, Joanne did not mention to police that Lisa was an Indigenous woman, and her grandfather was a former chief of the First Nations. she wanted the police and the media to take the disappearance serious and give it the attention that Lisa deserved. Joanne said, "You couldn't tell by looking at her. She was First Nations, and I didn't want people to know that and judge her, to discriminate against her because of that. Because as we know, cases of Indigenous people often don't get the same attention as other cases. But waiting 2 months before searching for a 21-year-old woman when you have said yourself that she was likely met with foul play is ridiculous."
Yeah, and then when they do find her, it's like, then what are you going to find? A lot of time, a lot of evidence. It's just crazy.
In late July, police tracked down Chris Adair 6 hours away in Kelowna, British Columbia. The 27-year-old told investigators that Lisa got out of his car and walked off. He then changed his story and said that he dropped her off at a location he couldn't specifically recall, and she got a taxi.
I actually completely forgot that they had a full name from the beginning. It's not even like most cases where the friends are like, well, she got in the car with a guy. Who's the guy? I don't know. Do you remember what he looked like? No, we were all drinking. And then they have to find this person. They literally had text and her being like, I'm uncomfortable. I kind of forgot that. It makes it even more insane that she was missing and they knew she was somewhere where she was uncomfortable and had a full name and waited that long.
Yeah, it was literally a month because she went missing the end of June and this was late July. So detectives arranged a meeting with Chris and Joanne. Remember, Joanne is the mom. Hoping that maybe seeing the mother of Lisa would maybe get some sort of response from him, some kind of reaction. Joanne asked him to tell her where Lisa was. He responded, "I can't. I'm sorry. I don't want to I don't mean to disrespect your family." The infamous red Jaguar actually belonged to Adair's grandmother, who was a prominent realtor in Qualicum, British Columbia, and her husband was the former mayor and politician. She threatened to sue anyone who tried to implicate Chris in the crime, and she promptly sold the Jaguar. So by the time police found it, it had been steam cleaned and sold, and any potential evidence was lost.
Wow. So she is Norma Bates.
I mean,
This is unfortunate. And that's why you don't wait a full month, because people can get rid of evidence.
she also allegedly gave Chris money to leave Nanaimo. So is this a grandma of an innocent man and she just wants his life to go back to normal? Or is she trying to save face and get this guy out of here and out of the spotlight so she doesn't look bad? Who can say?
She sounds like she needs to be arrested for, what's the crime? Conspiracy to cover up a
Or
murder.
obstruction of justice.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
If I thought my grandson was innocent, I wouldn't sell a car and move him. That's suspicious. If I thought that my grandson was innocent, I'd be like, he's innocent. Check the car. You know, he would never do anything like this. I wouldn't sell everything and steam clean it and get him out of town. That sounds like you're covering up for someone.
You know how these rich people are, though, trying to, save their reputation. I mean, one way or another. And I'm not saying that's what they did. I don't know. I'm just saying we've seen it before. This is not a new concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you better know this better be a solved one, because you just gave me an unsolved one not long ago, and I will be very, very upset. Although, as you said, they need attention too. However, and not to discriminate, because I know everybody gets upset, but there's also not every rich family, obviously, but the rich families that do know things are going on and sweep it under the rug for the exact reason you said, trying to save face, trying to save their shithead little badass snobby kids who are bored and do terrible shit all the time. Not
tell me how you really feel.
No.
So Chris Adair had a criminal record as well. He spent 90 days in jail for assaulting a girlfriend. He also had charges for unauthorized use of a credit card, fraud, theft, and assaulting a peace officer.
As I said, I knew he would have some. His grandma was like, "What did you do this time? I'm shipping you off."
Literally, a 27-year-old. So, without sufficient evidence, police couldn't arrest Chris in connection to Lisa's disappearance, despite being the last person to have seen her alive. So, he's only named as a person of interest in the case. Lisa's grandfather organized tribal searches and conducted multiple ground and water searches between July and December 2002 and in the spring and summer of 2003. Lisa's father's job printed thousands of missing persons flyers, and her parents also got access to Lisa's bank account and phone records, but no money had been spent or taken out, and there was no activity on her cell phone after that night. It pinged in the Departure Bay area of Nanaimo, but the phone itself has never been found.
Wow. And I was just about to ask you if they pinged the phone anywhere. This is going to be a frustrating one, I can tell, because I was going to ask if they pinged it anywhere and I guess search that. Because it seems like if he took her to another house, also, she said they won't let me leave, which is interesting.
Right. And she said, we're sitting in a driveway on Bowen Road. So she literally said where she was. And she did say they. I thought that was interesting. Did that mean, you know how sometimes people say they in like a general sense? I do think it would be weird that she didn't say he. So I wonder if it was other party goers, you know, like some of the friends that were there, or maybe, you know, Chris was off somewhere else and it's just a new random group of people, you know, who just decided to give her a hard time.
Scarily to me, the first thing I thought when she said they was a group of guys.
Well, yeah, yes, agreed. So in June 2021, RCMP Corporal Marcus Muntner gave an update on Lisa's case. He said new information had come in by people who were too afraid to talk back when the crime was committed, and he urged anyone else who has any information at all to come forward. Unfortunately, they did not disclose what the new information was, but he did add that their searches for Lisa included ground-penetrated radar, cadaver dogs, and that more searches were planned later that year. Despite Lisa's case file having over 15,000 documents and hundreds of witnesses as of this recording, no arrests have been made, and her body has never been found. I do want to say, as we've kind of touched on, that all suspects are considered innocent until proven guilty. I am not saying that anybody in particular committed the crime. I'm just reporting the facts as I have researched and come across. So it is an unsolved case. If anybody listening happens to have any information, call the appropriate authorities so we can get the family some sort of closure.
So how many years has it been now?
So that was 2002, and it's now 2023. So 21 years.
That's crazy. It's so weird because that one feels like she would have just been, they had so much, but maybe it's just where they waited. 2 months is long, but I mean, we hear some where it's longer and they had, she said a road, we had a name. It feels like enough just wasn't done, if you ask me. I don't know.
Yeah, like if they had acted sooner, I mean, unless everybody was just too terrified to talk, but you literally have a location, you have, like you said, a name. Why does it take you that long to track somebody down? Because you waited. That's why.
Would have been nice to know, like, who else was at that party. Like, it seems like someone would have cracked finding. It doesn't feel like they ever did a thorough research of like his friends and who else was at the party. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a cop, but waiting 2 months was already crazy. And even speaking to him so long, was that the 2 months when they tracked him down too?
That was a month. It was in late July.
Okay. And then
But
this,
I mean, you don't have to be a cop to know that waiting 2 months to look for somebody who clearly disappeared under strange circumstances. Like she was planning on moving into a new apartment to start a new job. She had all these immediate plans. Like she didn't just take off. You know
that,
what I mean?
yeah. And I'm sure the party was at a lot of those kids was a party at his grandma's house. At least search there. I don't know if they ever did, but I would have searched there because a lot of times those people will hide stuff there, or maybe you'll find some sort of fiber um, that was left by her or something. I don't know. This one doesn't seem like it should be unsolved. It's kind of disappointing.
I agree because they had so many leads to initially go on. And of course, we don't know where those leads would have went, etc., but still. And unfortunately, Lisa's mother, Joanne, passed away in 2017 without having found out what happened to her daughter. And also, Lisa's friend Dallas Hulley, who was with her that night and who was the last one to speak with her, died in 2018 when he was hit by a car in a tragic accident. And like you said, he had major survivor's guilt, knowing that he was with her that night, but couldn't save her, which it's not his fault. He made the responsible decision, like we said. And you're never going to think, he probably didn't get bad vibes from him either, you know? Or he probably would have, done whatever he could or told her not to go with him. I'm sure nobody got weird vibes. So what are you going to, nobody's to blame except whoever did this.
Yeah, and he could have driven drunk and crashed that night. It's so sad that he passed and the mom passed and they had to pass without closure. But yeah, that's terrible. Unless, hey, I don't know what the afterlife is. Maybe they got closure there. But oh, that's just unfortunate that because he was probably still young when he passed, right?
Yeah, so I think he was turning 21. So, I mean, actually, yeah, so he'd be like 42-ish.
Oh, yeah, because it's been 20.
Oh, no, I take that back because he was 2018. He'd be in his late 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
So, yeah, very young.
very, very young. Even 40s is young. But yeah, this is a tragic case because it's not only is it unsolved, the ones where they never even find a body, it's like, what happened? But I just wonder where they looked,
And yeah, I mean, and her family looked, multiple times. And it is crazy that if it was somebody at the party who's responsible, like these are kids, these are other like 20-something-year-olds. How do you dispose of a body that it goes just unfound?
Yeah, it feels like one that would be solved. It doesn't feel like these people would be calculated enough to get away with murder. And who knows? Because like you said, we don't know what happened. It could have not even been him. It could have been someone else at the party that she ran into. She said maybe somebody went further than someone else and but someone knows something. So it's just really unfortunate. Hopefully one day it'll be solved, but it's unfortunate that her mom had to pass before she could get closure.
Because, I mean, Chris said that he dropped her off. She got into a taxi or she left the car, whichever version of his story you believe. That could be true. And who knows who she got into the car with or who she ran into after that. But somebody at the party would know, hey, she left. Hey, he drove her away. Whatever. But why did your phone die? Or not die, but why did you not tell Dallas, hey, I'm on my way back? If you could. Like, hey, take a taxi home. Okay, getting into a taxi now. See you in a bit. Or whatever.
I definitely don't believe she left there, but I don't know what happened there. The they to me is so telling. I feel like there were multiple people involved. And then birds of a feather flock together. If he had gotten into, obviously he had a criminal record, but maybe he never went that far. Maybe it was someone else and he just never wanted to say. Who knows? But I don't think she left that party.
And I do want to say that when she first talked to him on the phone, she said, "This guy won't bring me back. He won't bring me back. I'm getting bored." And then she said, "They won't let me leave." So it is interesting that she did start out by saying, "This guy," and then she said, "He won't bring me back. I'm bored and getting pissed off." And then she says, "Come get me. They won't let me leave." So I definitely agree that it very well could be more than one person.
Yeah, and maybe that's why they got away with it, because maybe somebody else was involved. There was another car involved. There was another location. Who knows? And it's unfortunate, too, just to give, it's Dallas was the ex, right?
Yes.
Just to give him even more credit, even though she sounded uncomfortable, she said, "I'm bored." It's not like she said, "I'm terrified." I've been in places where I'm a little drunk and then I sober up really quick because I'm like, holy crap, not that I'm promoting drinking and driving, but to say, "Oh, he just won't let me leave and I'm getting bored," I wouldn't think there was this immediate danger. I'd be like, "Oh, she's at a lame party. She's bored. She wants to go home. That really sucks for her, but she's fine." Bored isn't like an alarming word to use. So even then, it doesn't sound too stressful yet. Maybe she wasn't that scared yet. And even the next time, "They won't let me leave," it's a little bit like, well, that's weird. I'd start a little bit of alarm bells are ringing, but she still isn't saying like, "I'm really scared. I'm frightened. They won't let me leave. I'm in, fear for my life or something." So that's even kind of interesting. It doesn't feel like she was completely scared yet.
I completely agree. Do you have any other comments or thoughts?
No, I just hope that one day this one gets solved. Maybe you can keep tabs on it. And because you don't, these where there's nobody, we don't even know. Because I almost asked you, well, what happened to him? And then I was like, oh, wait, we don't know. There's no autopsy. There's no missing. When people go missing without a trace, it's just really scary and strange. And there's no closure because we can't even put together any kind of story about what happened to her. So hopefully they solve it one day.
I will definitely bring updates if there are any. I mean, the most recent one came in 2021, so maybe there would be something. They said they had searches planned and more information, so maybe they're building a case. Hopefully they are, and I will have some positive news to report on. Until then, let us know your thoughts on Instagram or on our Facebook discussion group, because this one is definitely one that could have a lot of discussion because we don't know what happened. Follow us on Instagram at Murder in the Mountains. If you have not, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and come back next week for another episode of Murder in the Mountains. See ya.
Only leave good reviews. Bye.
Thank you. Agreed.